How are you? My name is Lou and welcome to our Amazon store. I'm going to show you a little breakdown so you could kind of understand the different levels of builds that we do depending on the horsepower application or if you're doing any heavy pulling and things of that nature. For example, we'll start with the 700R4, very popular. Of course, the 700R4 could be converted. Take out the 2-speed transmission, the 3-speed 350 or the 400 transmission, put the 700 in. Does not require any computer, runs off of a TV cable. You could also go full manual valve body, which eliminates the TV cable completely. You go with our full manual valve body. No TV cable, good high pressures, very good for street driving every day. It's just you're going to shift it yourself. Basically like having a stick shift with no clutch pedal. I actually love them. I got one in my car. When you start getting over 550, 600 horse, it's a pretty good idea to go full manual. You don't have to, but that's just my professional opinion. The level 2 also, I'm going to show you the difference between a stock 700 and a level 2, which has a lot of upgrades, much stronger, more reliable. The 700s were a decent unit, but now with all these upgrades they have for them, they've really come a long way since 1982 when the first 700R4 was introduced. Also, the early 700R4s, they had the 27 spline. I get those questions asked periodically. We do not run the 27 early models spline. We run the 30 spline input shaft 700R4s. For example, here is the factory stock 700R4 input sprag, and it's copper, and it's a single gauge, and you can see how all the elements just got blown right out of it. And here is the Borg-Warner double gauge, and this is hardened, not copper, and it could hold a lot more power, a lot more pulling power, horsepower, torque. So that's one upgrade. Also, you got the plastic accumulators, and you can see the cracks right in the middle. And once that cracks, then it starts cross leaking, and your transmission, you know what happens from there. It's not good. Then there's two ways. We can go with the aluminum accumulator, which is nice, and that's how we do our level 2s and level 3s and level 4s. And for more high performance, we eliminate the pin in the accumulator, and it also runs a double seal. So that's for, much more horsepower or heavy pulling. Then you could even go one step up and go with the double gauge aluminum accumulator from Sonex. Let's see now. You also got, we have the billet servos, but you can see billet is more for competition use, and for everyday use, it hammers on the band. That's exactly where it pushes the band, and there's no spring. It's basically like full competition. And then with the 700R4 Corvette servo, you can see there's a nice heavy-duty spring in there, and it'll give you a nice firm shift, but it'll also take away that shock where it's not going to rip the band or blow the band apart. The 500 boost valve that goes in the pump. Here's your stock 360 boost valve, some are 320, and there's the 500 boost valve that we put in the pump. Raises up the line pressure, gives you firmer shifts, takes away all the sloppy shifting, delayed engagement, things like that. 500 boost valve, factory 320 boost valve. Guys start getting into, well, it could be an everyday grocery getter, and then they heard a noise, they lost reverse, and they lost third gear. Just your sun shell. Snaps right off all the time, or sometimes it'll strip the teeth inside the sun shell. And we use the hardened sun shell, and you can also see it's a lot thicker, much stronger, more reliable. That's the hardened sun shell that will always run. Even our pump bushings are Teflon coated, and this way it's not going to put a groove inside the converter neck. So everything we put is upgraded. The level 2 also will have 9 clutches in the 3rd and 4th gear drum. The factory will have 5 clutches, so you almost got double. Of course, the level 3s can go up to 13 clutches, and we could even add more and put choline steels depending on your application. Also, you have another nice upgrade. You have 4 pinion planetaries. They're okay, but again, you start getting into bigger horsepower and getting over to 500 or so, and you see now this one exploded and knocked the whole one of the pinion gears right off of it. And then here is your 5 pinion planetary set, which is a very nice piece. Not always, you don't always have to do this depending on your application. Let's see what else we have. The pistons. If you're running nitrous and it hits really hard, you might want to consider the factory piston here. You just see how it exploded. And then, of course, we have our billet forward pistons, which is another nice piece from Sonex. So we could build any not any tranny, but we could build the overdrive transmission, 700R4, 4L60, 4L65s, 4L70s, basically the same internals, up to a maximum of about 650, 700 max. If you still want an overdrive and you're getting 700 horse and up, we build the 4L80E, awesome unit. And again, it doesn't require a computer either. We can go with the full manual, or you could put a computer on it. That's totally up to you on the 700, on the 4L80E, I'm sorry. And here's the bands. This is a good Pro Series Kevlar band, which we put in our level 2s. Then the level 3 and level 4s will get the wider band, again, depending on what you're doing. But level 2s, Pro Series Kevlar band from Ray Best, every single one. Level 3s will get the bigger band. Level 4s will get the bigger band. The special piston from Sonex, your factory forward drum, which has your 3/4 clutches, then your forward clutches and your overruns. This is all screwed in, the pressure plate, where on your factory drum, it has a snap ring that goes inside there. So this is a nice piece. But again, if you're starting to get real crazy, it could add up a lot higher. You probably want to go with a 4L80, but some guys like the 700 better because it doesn't move, it doesn't take as much horsepower to spin it. It's all preference. We can also change gear ratios on the 700s to have a closer gear ratio from the 1-2 shift and the 2-3 shift, which is close to the 200R4, which a lot of people ask me that. That would be a 6-pinion planetary with a 284 first gear ratio. Those are nice. Again, we'll build you whatever you like depending on what you're doing. The rotors, pump rotors. In the early models, they had a 7-vein pump rotor, and it really didn't have enough oil volume. So they went to the 10-vein, which is nice. I'm not a big fan of the 13-vein because the more cuts inside there, the weaker it gets, and I've seen them explode, unless you want to go with a billet. But the 10-vein is my professional opinion on the 700R4, 4L60E, 4L65s, 4L70s. 10-vein works really good. And then, of course, we also use the hardened pump rings. You know, for high revving or nitrous, it's not gonna explode the pump rotor, which you see quite often. Then, of course, the level 4 will get the billet Sonex 4th gear servo. Has much more holding power in the 4th gear. We could also put it in a level 2 or a 3, depending on your application. Sometimes I could put you together a little something extra, so it'll work real nice for what you're doing. This is the input shaft, the intermediate shaft on the 6L80, 6L90s. You see how I snapped it right off. This is a piece that we'll put when we're building a 6L80, 6L90. We also build those up to 1,000 horsepower and stand behind all our builds for 1 year unlimited mile. Converters we build here, balloon plate, triple disc, billet hubs, and stand behind them also for a year. All different stalls. So if you have any questions, just feel free to email us and we'll get right with you. The store is open after hours. The phones are forwarded, so you always speak with a live person 7 days a week. Thank you for watching. I think I got everything on this video. Again, if you have any questions, feel free. On the picture, some people see there's no tail housing. That's because they come with different tail housings, so I just didn't even put one on, depending on what the vehicle is. They have actually different tail housings on units, depending on what vehicle it came out of. But you do get a tail housing at no extra charge on all our transmissions. I get that question asked periodically. And the 700 doesn't require a computer. I think I went through that. I think I covered everything, but again, there's so much. I've been doing this now for 30 years. Again, any questions, please feel free to email us and we'll get right back with you. Thank you very much.